there we go. Welcome to Challenges Career Podcast, episode 4. A new hope. I was praying that Awesome Spear would turn around their season so we could do a new hope, but then someone picked Nunu.
Yeah.
Thanks, Muujin. And you're gonna get your payback, Muujin. I'm gonna make sure you get yours. Don't worry. Later on the podcast, you'll see your reward for picking Nunu. But nonetheless,
Nunu. Oh
I'm
boy.
joined by, as always, by Slothy. How you doing, Slothy?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Unfortunate power outages last week could not really get this
Yeah.
going, but
Power
we're back on
outages and
rolling.
oversleeping. It's my bad. But
No, no. Uh, that
no,
was my
because
bad
yeah,
too. So.
last week what happened was for those I didn't ever tweet this out actually, so nobody knows. I had a power outage and I was like I'll just go to sleep, and by the time I was set like a 90-minute timer. By the time it's done, I'll be awake. And then like I woke up and I was like, why didn't my alarm go off? And it's like 3 hours later. And it's like, well, fuck. I've I've done goofed, but nonetheless, we're joined this time. Thankfully, actually, is a blessing in disguise because now this time we're joined by Quest, who's able to make it. How you
Whoa.
doing, Quest?
Pretty good. Work's picking up more. Some staying busy.
Yeah,
Um, round one is about to end in the LCK and in the CK as well. So I'm about to just prepare for that and keep the ball rolling.
nice, nice.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
keeping it rolling. And what I said earlier too, Awesome Spear's on quite the roll. They have the second longest win streak in CK now. I believe they've won 4 in a row, and the only person above them is Jinner, who's undefeated
hmm
at 6 in a row.
They're trying to.
No, Austin
I
Spears won
mean,
3 in a row. My
mhm.
apologies, 3 in a row. But it's still the
Yeah,
second
yeah,
longest compared to Jenner's 6.
Mm.
So I
yeah.
wanted to
That's the
talk about that for a good amount of time. Talk about like what happened in between Awesome Spear starting off 0-3, and now they're 3-3, which doesn't look impressive on paper. But if you look at the fact that they've won 3 matches in a row, and all of them are 2-0s, really impressive stuff. Really impressive stuff.
yeah.
Mm.
I think a lot of it was just like I think they're going through some growing pains at the start. They
Hmm.
had a lot of changes, especially after losing Winner. I think like that was a key component in their wins before. They were just kind of like finding their new identities again, and now they're starting to, I guess, like get the ball rolling. And it's not just a single player; like it's a collective. They're working together really well. And when you're watching these games, you can't really say, "Oh, it's this guy's reason. This is the reason why they completely lost or why they completely won." It's like a collective team effort on most games, and they've been doing it in like a very I don't want to say stampy fashion. They've been playing fairly slow in their games for some of them, but for the most part, I kind of think they just like started to get what they wanted to do communicated better in their comms, so they're able to pull off what they want.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fair judgment to make. Yeah, it's growing pains probably were definitely a big part of it. Quest, I know, is excited that his boy Zeus is doing good finally. Finally stopped playing Nautilus and is playing that Thresh more. I'm sure. I'm
Oh, and
sure
set
we're all excited about that one.
and set. He's playing
Oh
that
yeah,
set
and set.
support
That
too.
his set is actually really clean. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Quest. Have you been talking to Zeus at all during his time on Spear Gaming and on Awesome Spear? How do you know how he's
Um,
liking it there?
I mean, whenever I talk to him, he's always busy. So there's a lot of just small talk. It's like, how you doing and how's the team doing? Is like not too much into like their, for example, their drafts or anything like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because obviously that's just
Did you tell him
it's
to
supposed
stop?
to keep it a secret.
Did you tell him to stop playing Nautilus?
um, I didn't want to
You didn't
be
want to
honest.
tell him?
No,
Oh,
because look, I think that it's like some people aren't just they just have bad luck with some champions. That's just my take on it.
yeah.
I know how good Zeus plays based on what I've experienced with him,
Hmm.
and I know that during my time with CK, I know for a fact that we had the best bot lane of CK.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I gotta sneeze. Hold on.
All right. Wait,
Oh,
here it comes.
okay, never mind.
Oh,
No, never
never
mind.
mind.
Fuck, it went, it went away. But anyways, so yeah, we obviously had the best bot lane in CK with Myungjin and Zeus, and I knew for a fact that Zeus, he's always consistent and he's always playing at a high level, and like that, like they say with T1, although form might be temporary, class is permanent, and I think the same applies to Zeus as well. And I'm really, he's also doing very well in the solo queue ladder as well. I think he is rank 17 with almost 1200 point LP in Challenger in solo queue. Support too.
That's some good
And
stuff. Yeah,
yeah, that is some good
that's
stuff.
impressive, actually. I
So I
think.
think that just based on all this, I think he's just like he's giving more time. He's putting more time into solo queue, and yeah, I think he's just more motivated than ever.
Yeah,
Because I know that this season or the split will be the last season or split of CK until it gets revamped into a new Academy League once franchising hits in the LCK. So, and we'll talk about more franchising later. But yeah,
yeah.
so I'm
Franchising.
really glad to see Zeus pick up his shit. And um, again, I rated Spear Gaming really high before the split started.
Yeah,
And
I want to apologize about trash talking, man.
yeah,
Listen, I didn't like
like
the solo lanes didn't look strong enough to me
okay.
to really like to think that they could be competitive. Because like if you look at the other solo lanes in LCK, like if you look at mid lane, you got Crown, Ian, Nehu, you have Scarlet, you have Yaharong. If you look at top lane, you have Slugger, you have Tana, and you have Wiser, and there's a lot of really like the solo lane talent pool is really competitive, and I didn't think that Austin Spear had the talent to keep up with it. But their bot lane and is just phenomenal, and it's a big reason why they're doing so well. And yeah, part of that is Zeus, your homeboy, who, like you said, seems a lot more motivated.
He's my
His
son.
Yeah, he's your son. His thrush is insane. And on the note of talking about like how high ranked he is in solo queue, I remember I was having a
Okay.
conversation with somebody that I won't mention, but they were like basically just talking to me like, oh yeah, what do you think about like what roster changes we should make?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I want to say is yeah, so there's this fantastic guy over there in Countess Korea. He goes by Zeus. His thresh is insane. He's really good. Pick him up. But I
Yeah.
didn't want to I didn't want to look like I was plugging him too much. I didn't, but
Yeah.
yeah, I always stand Zeus. Really good player. One of the former BBQ boys, like you said, BBQ's bot lane, one of the best. And I would say, Win Zeus, one of the best bot lanes in CK like history. Period. Really good bot lane. Reason like Draven Thresh always banned whenever they were together. So
Yeah.
yeah, really good duo there.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see him paired up with another talented ADC like Prince. So good
Yeah.
stuff. Prince is no win though. I'll say that he's no win.
Yeah. I mean,
He's no win.
Awesome Spear has a long way to go.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all these teams do. Even for Jenner, round two can like if you look at Afrika last split in spring they did okay, you know, and then they just suddenly went on this losing streak. Like they were just a completely different team in a bad way, of course, and they were almost in contention for relegation. So um, a lot of things can change with this team, and yeah, we'll just have to see how round two goes. We can make some predictions for fun, but only time will tell. I think.
Yeah, we'll have to. Time will tell indeed if Spear can keep this up. But on the note of the second round robin, I do want to talk about that next. Specifically, like what teams should do in preparation of the second round robin. I think I don't know if you two would agree with me on this one. I feel like Awesome Spear pretty much it's possible to improve their roster. Obviously, like I said, I feel like their solo lanes are a little bit weak compared to
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. But I feel like this roster is fine where it is, considering the fact that they've won 3 matches in a row and that they look like they're capable of being the second best, if not the best team in CK. But in theory, let's say that you're the GM of Awesome Spear. If you could make a change to this roster, what do you think? What would it be? What would you do to this roster? But you have to make
I'll
one
let
change.
Slothy go first.
You can't just
Okay,
say
so
no
I
changes.
don't
You
I
have to
don't
make one change.
so I don't no I don't think the change has to come from the roster. I think like it'd be a little disingenuous to say that. I think what we should talk about is what should they like more like kind of move their style towards for them to have more success. And for Awesome Sphere, I really like them trying to play around their bot lane more. I think that Prince really showed up these past couple weeks, and they gave him a little bit more attention in the bot side, and he does some pretty crazy stuff. That Callista game against High Fresh Blade was just insane.
Oh yeah.
The double kill he had bot when he was caught out, he actually turned it on him. So it's just like just playing around like your stronger players in terms of awesome spear and playing around like where you can get these advantages through your drafts and all that. I think that's definitely the place to start for them to, I guess, continue this success down the line.
Yeah, that's something that I really like is the fact that like a lot of the teams, like you look at Element Mystic, or if you look at like Jinair, they play around their solo lanes and they play really aggressive in the early to mid game. To where if you look
Mhm.
at teams like Awesome Spear, they're playing at a slower pace in the early to mid game because they know when the late game comes, their bot lane's going to be activated and they trust in Prince to carry the game. And they've been doing that more instead of trying to force more plays around their solo laners, and that's I feel like is a big part of their success too. And I think if they continue to do that, like you said, it'll be really good. But that's cheating, Slothy. That's not a change. That's just
That's not
keeping.
a
That's
change.
not a change, Slothy. What's a change? You have to make a change to the playstyle or to the roster. What's the change you made?
Well, that was the play style. Yeah, but I guess like
All right, I'll
yeah.
take whatever. I'll take
Yeah,
it.
the play style.
You
Okay, okay,
wanna you
okay.
want
Change
them.
the change to the roster. Change to the roster. You need a jungler that can like keep up in tempo a little bit better.
What? Oh, I think Crush is doing. I think he's crushing it. Get it?
I
He's
think he's doing
crushing.
Oh
okay.
He's
God, you did
crushing it.
not just do
He's
that.
Yeah, he did.
crushing
He
it.
did. No,
He's crushing.
like to be honest, like there's that. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of like that. That they need a jungler that can keep up in tempo a little bit better. In the games that they lost, like they were just so far behind on tempo that there was just nothing for them to do in the game.
Well, I think that's part of their playstyle though, is like just slow
Yeah,
tempo. But
yeah.
I think I want to hear Quest's opinion
Mhm.
on this one. What do you think is if you had to make a change to this roster, what do you think it would be?
Coaching staff. There's no
Coaching staff?
question about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I have a very definite idea of how a coaching staff works, and what they should be looking for. And, you know, I have a I have someone in mind that is willing to coach,
Does his first name start with an N?
No, but it's
Oh
someone
no.
that's
Oh.
closely no, but it's someone that's closely related to the person
Oh.
that's named with the name.
Oh.
His name is Max.
Max Waldo.
Yeah,
Boy, dude.
I actually think that
Max
you know,
Waldo.
yeah, I think Max is no, I mean he's like he's like just forget all the
Mhm.
personal relationships that I have with him. In terms of game knowledge, I don't think he's. I think that he's unparalleled in terms of what players should be looking for and how macro should work. And I think, and I think I would include him in not just Awesome Spear, but in any roster, either CK or LCK. If I was creating a team, you know, and I was looking for a coach, I would pick up Max without a doubt.
Yeah.
I would even go I would even go as far to say that without Max, I wouldn't join a team because I need someone as smart as him, and I think that he has a lot to offer on a team. And yeah, so if Awesome Spear can actually get a coach like Max, I wouldn't even say Max, a coach like Max, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Then I think they would step up their game tremendously because his time with BBQ, um, he's helped Soundrew improve as a player tremendously as well.
Mhm.
He's helped in so much. like in so many different ways that it's not even funny. So I think that you know
Yeah,
I would have Max in there.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what you say, kind of, in the sense that I
Okay.
do think
Hmm.
that Awesome Sphere need to bring in a new coaching staff, and I think that the idea of bringing in a Western coach is certainly a
Hmm.
good idea. I think that
Mhm.
no offense to any of the Korean coaches, because in a way they all draft the same, so they can't really punish each other for it. But I talk about it all
Hmm.
the time when I cast EK. There's a lot of things that happen in the draft that like really just make me kind of like tilt my head and kind of give like a funny look because like blind picking Trundle, passing up on stuff like Varus and Orn,
Mhm.
passing up on Gangplank, and like overall just refusing to like take a step back and say what can we do with the meta that's like what can we do with the current meta, and really just instead a lot of coaches just look at LCK and are just like, okay, that's what they're doing, we're gonna do that. Like
Yeah.
Karthus isn't being picked. Nunu was like it took Nunu like the entire patch cycle to finally get picked by Mujin. And I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know, and like especially with Karthus buffs incoming, it would be a shame if he would just sit there and waste. Where if you look at Western coaches, like if you look at Yamada Cannon, who's we'll ignore some of the things that he's done in draft, but overall has been doing a fantastic job with Sandbox. If you look at the Western coaches in the LEC and the better coaches in the LCS, they seem to have that mentality of it's not what our other people are doing, it's what can we do that's optimal, and what can we do that's going to cause trouble for other teams in the draft. And so I think that having a Western coach on Awesome Sphere would definitely help them. I don't know if it should be Max Waldo specifically. I don't know enough about him
Um,
to decide if he. But I mean, I'll take your word for it. If you think that he's great, I don't see a problem with it. But yeah, I think having a
yeah,
fresh mentality coach would help them a lot.
Mm.
I can second Quest's opinion on Max. He used to do a lot of streaming of this when he was living over here in Korea, and he would do a lot of 1v1s, and he'd point out like the small things in the 1v1s that a lot of people wouldn't think about. Um, when they're trying to contest these sort of things. So he did it, but he also did it in a way that's very digestible for the other person to understand what they were learning.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just like say like you need to be doing this. He did it and he provided a very concrete explanation, and he gave more than one reason most of the time on or more than one scenario where these things would benefit them if they were to add it into their play. So I can really, yeah, I can back Quest up on that one.
Now I want to move on to the next team, which is Element Mystic. Uh, they they have been struggling after what looked like a really impressive start to the year. Like they're at 3-3 right now. They're in fourth place when
Mhm.
I thought that like based off of how they were playing, they should be like second. But like they've been really inconsistent is the problem. Like I was talking about it. I made a meme about it actually. Like on day one, Elma Mystic are really good and they can beat anybody. But then day two and three, it's like, wait, how do we play the game again? What are we doing? Like they beat they've beaten ESC, they've beaten High Fresh Blade, they've beaten Runaway, but they've lost to OZ Jin Air, which you expect them to lose to Jin Air, and they've lost to Awesome Spear. So I think that a big way for me, I think, to fix their inconsistency would be bot lane. I think is a big thing. I feel like their bot lane isn't very good. But I did want to get your opinion, Slur, first before I go more into that. Slothy, what do you think is the problem with Element Mystic?
So so I think part of it again, as you said, is the bot lane.
Hmm.
But then I think they already have this realization about their roster that they probably have one of the lower end bot lanes in comparison to the rest of the league right now. So they don't want to play with it. And in doing so, they play all these high variance comps and they play a lot of things that kind of focused on winning early in the solo lanes. But if the bot lane can't really carry and they aren't playing to their win condition in the solo lanes, which some days, some like you said, some days you see them and they play it brilliantly and they play very well and they get the gold where it needs to be early on, they can get these wins. But for the most part, they've been kind of shying away from that. do you also kind of want to add to the point that when their wins that they did end up picking up later on, where one of them they played against one of the games they played against was Jin Air, and they took that to a 2-1, so it wasn't terrible,
Hmm.
but Jin Air is by far the best team we have in CK right now in terms of experience, and so far it's been pretty much the same in gameplay. So I can't really fault them for losing there. At least they brought that series to a 2-1. Then they end up beating Brion or High Fresh Blade, which is on their slump, and then they end up having to face this new hot roster that's coming out of Austin Spear Gaming. So I can't really like pinpoint like a definite point of what's going wrong with the team. Again, inconsistency, that's one thing that they need to fix up. And they play very high variance drafts. So I'd like them to have, I guess, in a sense, like a draft that is more straightforward for them and they can just play it and they can just fall back to it if they feel uncomfortable with doing things. I think that's kind of the biggest thing that they need to change.
All right, Quest. You're the bot lane expert. Let's hear your opinion.
On
What do
Element
you
Mystic.
Element Mystic? How do you fix their bot lane?
Um. Okay. I think that the bigger problem lies
Oh.
not with players' individual performance,
Hmm.
but in at this level where everyone. So right now in the standings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams have the same records.
Yeah.
They're 6 teams: Awesome Spear, Oz Gaming, Element Mystic, Runaway, ESC. They're all at 3-3, right? I
Yeah.
think High Fresh Blade is just kind of having a brain fart moment. I think. Um, and Griffin, I don't know what's going on with that team. Maybe Sword isn't playing. That's why, you know.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's one of the
but
reasons. That's one of the reasons.
but I think like when I see champions like Trundle, when I see champions like Renekton being still picked up, when I see champions like Lee Sin and Elise being picked up, um, my problem is that when I look at these drafts, they just like to have 3 winning lanes and try to snowball from there. When a lot of this, like all these team comms should be, they should work to counter the enemy team comp, not what's working not what performs the best in the meta right now. Um, so I just want to say that it doesn't. Okay, so like in the LCK, right? Like
Mhm.
Kuzan got like solo killed by BDD and shit,
Oh, well,
and
you gotta put my boy Kuz on a blast like that. Come
I mean, no, I'm just pointing out facts here,
on. Yeah.
and like you know, and even then, I still don't. I think there's minimal difference in the actual player's ability to perform.
Hmm.
Because look, Dynamics did BT1. Does that mean that Kuzan's better than Faker? No, I don't. Definitely not. I still think Faker's way better than Kuzan, you know? But in terms of skill difference, I think they've hit a point where there's not too much of that. It's not like comparing a diamond, NA diamond player to, a Korean challenger player. Like there's not that much of a gap of a skill difference. So I think that it just all comes down to draft.
Hmm.
And when teams are winning, you know, it feels like the losing team drafted a terrible comp, while the winning team just drafted a comp that's slightly worse than theirs.
Yeah.
So I think
That's.
in
Yep.
terms of bot lane for Element Mystic, um, sure there'd be like little kinks here and there, but again, League of Legends isn't a fighter game. It's not Super Smash Brothers or anything like that. You know.
I mean, it will be soon, right? It's making a fighting game. I
I mean,
wouldn't speak so soon.
yeah, but I mean, League of Legends itself is
Yeah.
a 5v5 game,
Hmm.
and mechanics do matter. But I think that, um, in terms of how they play as a unit and how they play as a team, matters a lot more. And part of that, and a lot of that has to do with draft. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I think that if you look at like if you I think that it comes down to roster consistency issues, and I think that comes down to their bot lane being extremely inconsistent. This is at least my personal observation. Um, I don't. I think that both Execute and Chorus are okay. I think Execute's better, but I think they're both okay at the least. I think that
Mhm.
I just think that like there's so many really good bot laners sitting in free agency. Like you have Song Yoon still sitting in free agency. You have Gap, my boy, still sitting in free agency. Hollow was dropped by Breon Blade and not picked up by anybody. You have Stitch, who was on Where Are You From, wasn't picked up by anybody. You have Zenit, who was on Hanwha's been a free agent for a while, but I'm pretty sure he's done with League of Legends in general. When was the last time we saw him play? Even I just thought about that. Actually, not too long ago. But
Okay.
anyway, the point is that like I feel like with so many like good ADCs sitting in free agency, I feel like if you're not looking at your roster, seeing that bot lane's a problem, and then signing one of said ADCs, I feel like I don't know. It feels obvious to me. That's all I'm
Well,
gonna say.
right. Like, um, how should I say this? So if you look at Chovy, for example, right?
Yeah,
Chovy was this like master tier. Some I think it was a Casio one trick. I don't know. Like some, he was just like some master tier player,
yeah,
but he's now one of the best mids in the world, for that matter.
yeah. I remember when people
So
were
something
calling.
had to change, right?
Yeah,
And I think the influence of great leadership did that as had an immense impact on that, on his growth. So maybe it's, the lack of leadership within a team, and maybe it's the incompetency. Maybe like that's why I mentioned the whole coaching staff thing, right?
So, wait, so are we back to the coaching staff solution, but this time it's for Elma Mystic?
Uh, I don't
I would
want
agree
to.
with I would agree with that though. I would agree with that. So are we saying that Max Waldo basically needs to be hired? Is that what
Come on,
we're?
challenges, Korea.
All right,
Pick up
listen, all
Budget
CK.
LS.
I know some of you are watching. You, your boy Max Waldo, he's sitting there. I wish LS would coach a CK team again, but he just talked about the other day why he doesn't coach. But anyways,
Yeah.
um, I don't want to spend too much
Okay.
time on Element Mystic though, so let's move on. We spend a little bit too much time on them. Coaching staff
Sure.
and bot lane issue are the issues there.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about a team that I know Quest loves a lot. He loves this team, man. It's his favorite team. Our boys over at
Griffin.
ESC Chain. Uh, Before we get to Quest though, Slothy, do you see any problems with this roster or with their playstyle or with their coaching? And if so, where are those problems? How can they be fixed?
Well, ESC Shane, man, where to begin? Um, I think that when I see ESC Shane play a lot of games, it feels very solo queue esque. It doesn't seem like they're a cohesive unit, and a lot of times they're playing not to lose rather than to win the game. They end up playing like the games that they win. It's usually very slow games. They don't do too much proactive. They don't have a lot of proactivity in it, and they just kind of like let things happen until later parts in the game. They just can take over and win. And even in the games where they do win, it's a lot of these games aren't very clean wins as well. You had one of the games where I remember specifically Gone was like playing Oriana. It was against OZ. Um, because I remember we were talking about Juhan's Graves a couple weeks ago in this one, where he just died 3 times mid lane for like no reason, and then he just had one ultimate and was just like they were able to like kind of turn it around in the end. But he was just constantly getting picked, and that's a big liability if he's not playing something like Oriana that has that high impact ultimate. If he's playing on something that has less impact on the game, that's just kind of just like hanging his team out to dry. And part of it is just because I don't think there's a good shot caller on that team. I don't think they really have anyone that's saying, "Hey, we need to be doing this right now. This is what we should be setting up for." I think that they're kind of. It doesn't seem like they're very cohesive. It doesn't seem like they have a direction that they kind of want to take the team when they do have these games, and they end up just kind of like falling off in some games or just like getting run over. So I think
Right.
that's one of the biggest things. They need to definitely have more of this cohesion as a team. And I think part of that is you have someone who is running around the map at every point in the game, and that's the jungler. You need to have the jungler being very communicative with the team and having them pick up these things. But it's also kind of hard to do when you're just permanently putting their jungler on trundle duty for like 90% of the games.
Slothy,
So
you just don't like CK junglers. I think I've reached that conclusion that you just don't like junglers. What did it? Is it because
it,
solo queue, Slothy? Do your solo queue junglers give you
no,
give you
no, 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 no,
problems?
no, no. This is like a very true thing. There's a lot of times where they're playing on the wrong side of the map, and it's just like it's very obvious that like the next play is coming, and they can either take a preventive measure or they can try to take an equal trade, but they end up always taking like a lesser trade rather than doing that and giving up things in the end. And ESC Shane is like one of the teams that I see there's like, let's just constantly give up dragons and objectives until we can fight them. And they just end up losing the fights either way. So
I don't know,
yeah,
Slothy. I think you just dislike junglers, but that's besides
yeah,
the
that's
point.
true.
Not everybody dislikes junglers unless you're jungler. To be fair, like I can't think of anybody that's like besides the jungler that's been like, yeah, my jungler's pretty good in that game. But Wes, it's your turn, buddy. Let's let's hear what you got to say.
I
Let's hear,
mean,
let's hear, buddy. What do you think about? What do you think of your boys over at ESC Shane? What do you think?
um, I mean, again, going back to the whole topic of junglers,
Mm-hmm.
you have four camps up, but you're coin flipping a gang. There's like random fights breaking out at like level 2 at the enemy jungle, and they don't take into consideration about like, your laners lanes are being pushed in, but decides to invade anyways. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with Slothy's claims about their playing being very solo s or solo QS, and
Mhm.
they're just making coin flip plays, and they just like, oh, if it doesn't work, then we just lose. You know, they're literally just gambling, and that's that's not how the game should be played.
We all know how we think of gamblers in CK. We all know what we think about them.
Yeah, Nidalee really is shit into Trundle,
Yeah,
basically.
Nidalee, terrible pick of the Trundle. Terrible pick.
But yeah, like anyways, we talked about this a little earlier. With about how things work at ESC. I don't want to delve into too much details, but if I think it's it's the same way that like they're not going to change unless something drastic happens to them, which I don't think it will. And yeah,
I think
I
that
don't.
to to go off what you guys are saying, just better jungler wins, and if ESC wants to start winning, then they have to make changes in the jungle. And
Mhm.
again, this goes back to the point of there's a lot of good free agents. There's a lot of good free agents right there. I know a lot of them are really hungry to prove themselves, especially with LCK franchising coming up. People are going to start getting paid a lot of money. People want to prove that they're worth that money. You got Doyle is my biggest example. Doyle just dropped by Brion, just sitting in free agency, just chilling out. And I feel like Doyle would be perfect for ESC Shane, because like you said, Leah just has a problem of just dying for no reason in the enemy jungle. And if you take someone like Doyle, who's the counter jungler god in CK, like I don't think this man's ever been killed in the enemy jungle before, and is perfect at counter jungling. I think that would be really good for that team. And also, you would have a Nidalee player in a meta where Nidalee fits in really well against jungle, so I think that would be perfect. Specifically, I think they should get Doyle, but in general, just any jungler will do, as long as it's better than. I think a lot of junglers have a better option for them. I think Quest. I think it's time for you to start applying to be their jungler. What do you think? You willing to go back to ESC and be their jungler?
Fuck no.
Okay, well, That's fair.
I mean, what do you want me to say to that? You know,
Hey, I know this really good. I know this. A friend of mine is really good at jungle, and I heard he's interested in the Korean competitive scene, specifically in Challenge Korea. My friend Sebastian Edholm, aka Mouse. Maybe ESC should look at that guy.
maybe,
Maybe.
but I heard he's having too much fun in Turkey right now.
Yeah, he's
So
having fun in Turkey. But let's move on and let's talk about uh, Griffin,
oh
which
god.
is a conversation and a half when it comes to what needs to be done with that team. But I do want to say
Hmm.
that I think that Nahun is doing a fantastic job, all things considered, with the roster he's been given. Uh,
Hmm.
if you put any other mid lane there, they don't get. I don't think they win a single game. I think Nahun is the only reason why they were picking up games.
Picked up
Um,
one match, didn't
yeah, they picked up one
he? Yeah.
match and they've picked up 4 games, and I think all 4 of those games are due to Nahun. But
Huh.
I think that to fix this roster, one, wait for Sword to come back. Sword, although is terrible in LCK, but I have to keep explaining this to people. Because you're bad in LCK, that doesn't mean you're going to be bad in CK. Like, if you look at, I hate to bash this player specifically because they're one of my favorite players. Period. But if you look at like Guger, he's not.
Hmm.
He was this like second best support I'd say in CK, but is like a bottom 3, bottom 4 support in LCK. But that's how it usually works. Is if you're the best player in CK, usually when you move up to LCK, you're usually one of the bottom 4 players. Sometimes you have rarities, like you'll have hybrid, you'll have rich, you'll have like glitches in the system, or like all of Griffin whenever they first promoted to LCK. But I think that oh wait, I forgot the fucking point that I was making with this. Um, God damn it. Oh, what was the point I was making with this? Anyways, oh right, the point is I think they need to have better players all around. Oh right, Sword. That was the point I was making. Sword going to be one of the better top players in CK probably. Citrus I think is fine. I don't really have any beef with him. I wish he would stop picking Kane because it's making me sad. I really
Yeah.
like Kane, but I really wish Citrus would stop picking Kane. It's making me sad. It's it feels really out of place right now, and I don't think I love Kane, but I don't think he has a place really anywhere right now in League of Legends. Besides like solo lane, maybe solo lane Kane is something that I'd like to see. That's another goes back to coaching, but yeah, I think the entire roster needs to be changed around Nate and if they want to win games, that's the way to do it. Slothy, what do
So
you, or
it just goes. Sorry, I'll start
no,
first
no, no,
with this
you go
one.
ahead, Quince. I wanna you
Okay.
haven't gone first. You haven't gone first. You haven't gone first in a while. You go first.
Take it.
So
Take
this just goes to show how much of an influence CV Max had, and not just CV Max as like just CV Max, but again going back to the whole coaching staff thing about
Yeah.
the importance of coaching staff, you know, and chaos from what I remember during my investigative days of looking into Griffin and whatnot. He's just he's more of an analyst.
Mm-hmm.
If he just gathers data for, I mean, back in the days, anyways, right? He just gathered data for CV Max, and he wasn't. He was basically CV Max's bitch. Basically,
Okay.
whatever. In like what I mean is whatever CV Max told him to do, he would do it.
Yeah.
Like his assistant, right? I mean, bitch is I meant to say that as a meme, but But anyways, so with him gone, I feel like Chaos is kind of like lost in limbo, where he doesn't really know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not showing it, but he still doesn't know what to do. Rather's I'm not. I don't know what to say about Rather as a coach. Uh, but
Right.
yeah, I don't exactly know what to. I think that uh, in terms of Neon's doing fine. Sword. I mean, if he comes back, we'll see how he does. Let's see. Citrus, yeah, again, like I agree with you on Citrus and Wayne and Yushin. I can't figure their bot lane out either. But like, it's definitely Hoya's been, you know, Hoya's been kind of lacking in a way
Let's
where
just say that
he feels,
if Hoya were my teammate, I wouldn't be very
yeah, I would,
I
I
wouldn't be
would
very
probably run it down
I
mid.
yeah I wouldn't be very satisfied.
I'd play Nunu mid, but mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but me there are
Yeah,
some games where where it's like I'm not gonna I'm not just Hoya specifically, but like a lot of players on Griffin where like I just look at that and I'm like, damn, if that were one of my solo queue games, I feel like they'd get reported. You know?
yeah.
But I think yeah, but yeah, I'll let you continue.
I mean, yeah, that's about it. I mean,
Oh.
we'll just have to see how Sword does when he actually if he comes back for round two, because I know he has the whole trial thing because he like he has this thing, he has the legal battle with against TV Max and whatnot. So we'll see how he does when he comes back to the CK when he comes back to CK in round two. But for now, I think that La Hoya is one of the biggest flaws of Griffin, to be honest, and the coaching staff.
Yeah. You know how GPM is ganked by mom? Maybe Sword should be GBL ganked by lawyer.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
But
That's
Slothy, why don't you go ahead and tell us the woes of
How
Griffin?
about Ganked by Life?
Ganked by
gameplay. Jesus. Well, I think so. I guess the way I kind of see it, where Griffin is at right there is they have one success, like they won like 3 games, right? No, they won 4 games.
4 games.
And who did they win them through? Nahyun.
Yeah.
They won them through Nahyun. Their entire roster is a one-dimensional roster that they have to play through mid. And if enemy teams can just kind of like understand, like, all right, this is what Griffin's gonna do, they're gonna play through mid, then they can just put in preventative measures to stop them from winning games. They'll be like, all right, they're gonna play through mid. Okay, we'll just put something in the bot lane that can beat them, and we'll just hard scale on them and just like beat the shit out of them
Yeah,
and
like
win. Like
we'll play
there's not
Ezreal,
there's
we'll
not
play Ezreal bot and
yeah.
Ornn top, and we'll just outscale you, and Nunu can't do anything.
Yeah, there's just like this is like there's no way that you can find a lot of success with a single threat on the roster. Um not only that, I mean, like when we were talking about this the other time too, like they played all this really weird stuff in the bot lane to start out. They're like, oh, let's play like Azir to stuff bot lane. And it was very clear that they didn't have a full grasp of what they were doing with it. Like, sure, you can pilot the champion, but if the champion requires you to to do a certain thing and you're not performing that, then I don't know what wants to say. Like, if you're
Yeah,
making your focal points of the comps places where they can easily get disrupted and faltered, like of course you're not going to find success. Of course you're going to sit at a 17% series rate with a 29% win rate. Like there's not really much to say about it.
yeah. Usually, yeah, that was really weird. Like the karma Azir bot was really good until they were like, hey, let's pick a fight, and they just threw the
Yeah.
lane. But yeah, um, yeah. So basically, just one-dimensional roster, very problematic. Yeah, I agree with you there, Slothy. I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. Yeah, just a one-dimensional roster. I think the players need to be better coached. I don't think the coaching staff is a problem. I just think they need to be better coached. I think they need like like I said, picking bad fights in the bot lane, really big problem for them. Normally, this is where we talk about Jin Air, but they're Jin Air, and I don't think anyone has any woes with them. I personally think they're in a perfect state, and they should just keep doing what they're doing. I don't have any problems with them. I wish they would stop priority picking Trundle blind, but I mean that's my only complaint. But I have that complaint with every CK team. So
I think that at this point, the only teams that I do want to talk about. Okay, so High Fresh Blade
yes,
is I personally think that they're just having like this brain fart and they just hit like a low point of their performance. And I just think that it can just turn around for them almost naturally,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Runaway. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to agree with you there. Like high fresh, yeah, high Janair, I feel like don't really do anything. High fresh, you can't really do anything. They're just, I feel like their roster's fine, their coaching staff is fine. Frozen's a fantastic coach, but like they're just slumping is the thing. They're just slumping, and
Yeah,
they
and
just have to detail. They just have to detail.
I think that they should stick to one roster that works.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you there.
You can. It's fine to sub out people and whatnot, but like they can't just. Okay, so Mighty Bear's gonna play this match, or Krako's gonna play the next match. Like you can't. I don't think you should do that.
Hmm.
I think you should set a roster and then just kind of like
Yeah,
push it. There might be games where you just kind of suck, right? But um, you know,
yeah. I think their
you should settle
rosters.
down, basically.
Yeah, settle down. I
Yeah.
think they need to pump the brakes a little bit. Stick to
You know
wiser.
what they really need to do?
What's that? They need to drink hot six.
No, they need to stop losing game twos all the time.
Yes, they need to they need to
Yeah,
stop
they need
getting
to stop
reverse
losing game
swept.
twos all the
They need
time.
to stop getting reverse swept. It's so
They need to
infuriating.
stop getting reverse swept.
They were literally
They
they were literally like 2,000 HP away on the Nexus from beating Jin Air, which would have been so great for them. But then
yeah,
they had like
yeah.
two really bad backdoor attempts and threw the game. But yeah, they need to stop getting reverse swept. On the note of Oz Gaming, I want to talk about them before we talk about something that I know Quest is excited to talk about. Real quick to go over Oz, I think that they're fine. I think that they've already figured out what they need to do, which is stop rotating out junglers and stick to Eon over Crown. And because they've been doing that, they've looked a hell of a lot better.
Mm.
They almost beat Jin Air, and they beat
Hmm.
the hell out of Runaway. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that they're already looking good. They just need. I don't really. They just need to make sure they don't go back to their old ways of like sharing playtime in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think that the 2-0 loss to Griffin really like set them straight. They're like, all right, we gotta change some shit
Yeah,
around. So
yeah,
they
that'll do it to you.
they like, all right,
Listen to
be like,
Griffin.
losing the Austin Sphere, that'd be okay, but Griffin, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, they.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you agree with us, Quest, that it's just Oz needed just Griffin was a wake up call and they've woken up now?
Yeah. Um, like I'm very surprised to see Crown underperform as much as he did.
Mm-hmm.
But it also explains that why the fucking CLG was in 10th place and why he left the team. Again, we would never know like the inner dynamics of how a team is working. Like um just because there's so many variables to think about and no outside perspective would ever know that.
Mm-hmm.
But Crown definitely has been a very disappointing player to say the least. And I think, you know, maybe in comparison, he makes Eon looks good,
Maybe.
which is
I mean,
a terrible thing to compare.
you could be right there, but I mean, Ian is building tier of disrespect on multiple occasions, so I think he's just a big brain. But
Hashtag live evil. I
yeah,
don't know.
live evil. It's not live evil. It's live evil. Come on.
Live evil. Okay.
Live evil. We had to explain that meme to Quest the other day, Slothy and I. He didn't understand the live evil thing.
Yeah.
But speaking of living evil, Runaway. They're I know you.
There's Vegas, baby, let's go.
We're living evil with that Nunu jungle, baby. We're straight living evil.
Oh, baby, we got. This is
I know Quest is excited to talk about Runaway though. So I want you to before we talk about what I know you're gonna say. Okay, I want you to give more
Mm,
context of what we were talking about before the podcast.
okay.
I want you to explain that whole situation. So like, give full context for people.
Okay. So just as a disclaimer, here.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on, real quick. Why do you have Pookie style as your profile picture still?
No.
Just a meme.
Come on.
Yeah.
You gotta update. You gotta
I
update. Stop being a boomer.
I'm lazy.
That's fine. All right, continue.
But anyways, so just a disclaimer here. Um, whatever works with players, right?
Mhm,
Whatever works with players, if it works, then that's great. But again, I don't want to talk result based things
mhm.
here, right? So, Runaway is run by Flowervin and Runner, who were content creators from many years that started many years ago. And Runner, especially, has been involved with League of Legends early in his career, and he was a streamer on Africa TV, and same with Flowervin. They met and they got married, yada yada yada. And then sometime later, the whole Overwatch thing, or the Overwatch team blew up, and Runner decided to play in the Runaway Overwatch team, and then he realized that he has to go to the military, and he's also a boomer, so he can't really, you know, can't really play on the team anymore. So when he was in the military, he got out. During that time, Flowervin was running the team, and the whole organization found a lot of success in Overwatch. And after Runner got out of his mandatory service for in Korea. By the way, for those that don't know, if you're a Korean citizen, you have to serve in the military. It's a mandatory thing for that you have to serve for a year and 8 months, right? So, anyways, Renner comes back from the military and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to start a League of Legends team. So, the first rendition of that failed miserably, okay? And they had some pretty good names in there, like Edge and Zeus and whatnot, but they completely shit the bed and they come back and they're like, okay, so we're going to let go all these players now and we're going to find the right timing to maybe get back into Challengers Korea and whatnot. And when they came back, they picked up Edge, and then this is the roster that they have now. They call themselves Runaway Iki, which is like Runaway second rendition of roster, basically. And the rumor is that they bought out Asura Gaming's spot in Challengers Korea, essentially, and you know here we are now, right? And so what Runaway is an interesting team in a sense where because the owners are content creators, not a lot, but they can skew the narrative in a way where they can create a narrative for themselves and show how the team works or whatever, right? Which I don't, I think it's a hoax, and I think a lot of it is bullshit because again, it's YouTube. You can make anything
Mhm,
seem believable, right?
mhm.
So in the most recent video that I saw that Runaway posted, Runner was giving feedback to the players. Now, the way he presented himself was as if he was like a coach. And again, I'm not discrediting any experience that or all the experience that Runner has while running a team, and he has a successful brand for himself, right? And I don't. While I'm not discrediting that, he in the video, anyways, right? He presented himself in a way where he was more like a coach, and he was doing the coach's job, and which I'm pretty sure, like I'm like 99% sure that that was not his intention, and his intention is just to see his team grow. But the problem that rubs off wrongly with me is that um, if a team owner sits in there like a coach and tells players what to do, when the team owner himself is basically a gold pleb when it comes to the game, right? Um, a lot of players just unconsciously will discredit a lot of what he says, and they'll also feel like their jobs are being on the line and their positions are jeopardized in a way because if you get singled out by a team owner or anyone higher up in the management, then you know you feel threatened.
Yeah.
And some of the things that he was saying in the feedback was like, okay, so let's say you killed Aatrox in the top lane. then you gotta say, "Oh, I killed Aatrox, nice," like say it louder or something like that. First of all, I don't think that kind of feedback is necessary with the team because if you play the game at a high enough level, you don't need to have someone yelling off their top of the lungs to see that um someone like the enemy has been slain or whatever, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta say top die. You know, sometimes that's all you need
Yeah.
to say. Top die.
No, but I believe that if players are playing at this level, then things like that shouldn't be repeated.
Hmm.
So it's a waste of time for the players. It's a and the players would definitely think, "What the fuck is this guy saying?"
Yeah. Now,
And
sir.
he had it like okay, so you can even argue that he had valid points in that video, and but the thing is, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I get.
really don't think that the management should be stepping in to coach the players per se. But I mean, and if you want something delivered to the players, it should be done through the coaches because it's the coach's job to, you know, to be the leader of these players, not the team owner. If the team owner speaks out, it'll feel like they're threatening. Again, they're threatening the position, and the players will feel like their positions are being jeopardized.
Yeah.
And mhm,
I
go
do
ahead.
want to say before I say my thing that I'm not doing this to like pick on Runner or Runaway specifically. It's just that with other teams, we just don't know what's going on within the team because they're not putting out videos. We don't know any like we don't know if like we don't have like insider information. Where if we do, they're not telling us the stuff that we can then step back and say, okay, well if they're telling us this, I think this is the problem with the team. We can only go surface level and like only scratch a little bit into the surface like what we've been doing. But with Runaway specifically, like you said, because they're content creators, more of what their how their inner mechanisms work is more in the light. So we get to see stuff like Runner, the feedback that he's giving his players. We get to see stuff like that, and from there we can make the criticism like how you're making. To counter your criticism, though, I already talked to you about this, but I just want to talk about it with other people before I let Slothy talk about how he thinks, what he thinks about this, and how he thinks Runaway should change if they should. Um, I think that one of two things is going on. I think either one, he's trying. I don't think he's trying to like coach his team. I think he's trying to get them to just be more excited in general. Because I remember when I first started watching League of Legends, Korean League of Legends specifically, one of the teams that stood out to me at one point around like the 2015 or around the season 5 were Ku Tigers because of how interesting their personalities were. Like the way that they dressed on stage, the way that they talked to fans, the way that they talked to each other, how friendly they were, how they got excited, stuff like that. And it became even more so whenever they picked up Peanut, which is who he was a really exciting personality as well. And I think that Runner is trying to accomplish that because he accomplished that with his Overwatch roster as well. Now on the flip side, let's say that maybe he is giving like actual feedback to his team. I don't think he should undermine the coaches. I do agree with you there. I think it can be perceived as disrespectful by the coaches. But at the same time, at the end of the day, one, he's the owner, and two, I think that he has the experience. Like you said, as when it comes to League of Legends, you can look at him and be like, oh yeah, this guy's goalie doesn't know what he's talking about. But if I owned a League of Legends team, right, and I had an NFL player or an NBA player come out to me like, and he wanted to talk to my team about like communication and about teamwork. Sure, that person is going to know absolutely nothing about League of Legends, but they have great experience in teamwork in a communication environment to where I would say, yeah, sure, you have the. I guess I would respect your opinion in that sense. But like I said on the flip side, I don't think you should try to like step on the coach's toes. I do agree with Wes there, and I do think that needs to change. I don't think it's a problem, but I think that they should change that before it becomes a problem. That can cause a lot of internal issues. Then you get stuff like BBQ. But as far as like how to actually like change the roster for the better, um, or change the team for the better, it's hard to say. They picked Nunu. I think
Again,
they should
okay,
keep
so like
picking Nunu.
um So one of the things that I did pick up from Yamato is that about what he did with the players, right?
Yeah.
When he was on Vitality. For those that don't know, I'm a journalist at Invent Global. So recently I had a chance to interview Yamato Cannon about his past, present, and future, basically. And he talked about his time with Team Vitality, where in the team's golden years with like Jizuke and all them, and Jizuke like Vitality did really well, and even at Worlds they made it to Worlds and they performed well at Worlds as well. And he, would talk about how players need to express themselves and let the players play what they want to a certain extent, or at least practice it, and not just stick to the meta champs that works. So, and he gave me an example of how Jizuke was playing Echo, and the team was finding a lot of success with that. So, I think the concept of that should be also be looked at in it should also be implemented in with the CK teams as well, because that's what kind of, if you think about it, that's what BBQ did as well. We were practicing stuff like Talia Pantheon. We were the first ones to pull out Carthage Jungle. We were thinking outside the box, and we realized from an early point, and we realized early that we don't have to stick to the meta. We can find the picks that works for the players specifically, right? And we were playing stuff like Gragas top with Hakon playing Gragas, and we found a lot of success with that.
That probably helped him because he probably saw himself in the Gragas.
I mean, if the Gragas was eating onions, you know what I mean? But anyways, I think that's what a lot of these CK teams are lacking to a certain extent. So that could be one thing that Runaway lacks. But I think, Mugen's playing Nunu and shit, so it's like they're slowly picking things up. But I wish a lot more teams, not just in CK but in LCK as well, would do as well. So
personalizing the picks is what you think is key for Runaway.
They just need to learn to think outside the box.
Okay. Slothy, what are your opinions on Runner with how he's stepping in with the team, and do you think that's an issue? What other issues do you see with Runaway?
All right, so we spent too much time on that, so I shouldn't really like that. It was just beating a dead horse if I talk about that. What I'd rather talk about though is a lot of these Runaway drafts. They don't provide, they don't really have like good gank assistance, whether it is coming from the jungle. Mugen comes in on a lot of these CC-less jungles. He plays a lot of Nidalee, he plays a lot of Echo, which, I mean, I'm not going to call it CC-less, but it's really hard to land that one. He plays a lot of Lee Sin, right? And none of these you can be saying like, oh yeah, they're picking it to lock him up. So they do that, but what do they pair it with? They pair it with like a Jace in the mid lane or an Aatrox, which has, again, varying CC. They don't really allow themselves to really like play through the lanes that they need to. They're like, all right, this is our game plan. And they just run at it. They try to do it, and then they end up failing. I mean, again, the most recent example was yesterday, that ESC game with the Echo jungle. Like, where is he going to get the assistance from? He's only going to be able to do it in the bot lane. And if any jungler is looking at that, they're like, all right, well, I'm just going to make sure I have wards around bot lane. I'm playing around there just in case they try to make a play bot. And that's what happened. Then Runaway just kind of like floundered for the rest of the game. I think that's like a big portion of it. They don't really have good ways to secure kills in a lot of the comps that they played that way. And then other than that, I don't think there really is too much more. I'd rather them pick just like we were talking about with other rosters. I'd rather them play one set in terms of their solo lanes, pick either Mask or Edge and just run them for the entire time. Pick either Last or Krong G and then run them for the entire time. I think that's another thing that's kind of being detrimental to some of these situations. And I understand like the theory behind it. They want to get people as much playtime and stage time as possible. But if they're looking to like secure wins and I guess move their organization forward, they're gonna find more success by being consistent and keeping. If you just keep varying the roster, that's not going to be consistent enough for you guys to secure your place in the top of CK.
Okay. Okay, so champion pool is something that we all agree on that needs to be fixed, and I would agree with you on the roster. Well, actually, I don't know if I would agree with the mid lane because I feel like at first I was kind of bashing Edge, but now that I've seen him play more, it's he's pretty okay. But I would like to see Mask get more playtime just because I think he is the better player between the two. And I thought Last was better than Kron G, but I'm starting to think that Kron G actually is starting to revive himself. I'd like to see him play more, but I don't know. But nonetheless, that's all the teams actually. Wow, we've run out of teams to talk
Yeah,
about. So yeah, a big common theme is coaching and drafting. It's apparently something that we all think is a big problem consistently in CK. Which if you ever catch a CK if you ever catch a CK stream, you hear me talk about it all the time. Now, what I wanted to talk about next is something that I'm very excited to talk about. I know Quest wanted to talk about it. We got franchising, baby. Franchising's coming up. We got all kinds of stuff that come with franchising. A lot of these teams aren't going to exist next year. We're going to have LCK Academy. We're going to see a lot of young talent play instead of CK being like a way for the middle tier players to try to get paid or revive their careers. So that's going to be interesting. Now, I did want to ask you, Quest, out of all the teams in CK, which ones do you think stand the best chance of being accepted in franchising? Oh wait, Quest, you there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm
I
here.
thought you left. I was like, oh, Quest
No,
for
no,
the
no,
register.
no. I think again with all the marketing and self-promoting that High Fresh Blade is doing, if I had to choose High Fresh Blade, again, I don't know all the sponsors that are linked with all these teams,
Mhm. I
and
can probably find out if you're like what team specifically did you have in mind?
so teams like Awesome Spear, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, and teams like Oz Gaming. By the way, I don't think ESC is going to make it. I
Yeah, I think.
would be very, and this is not just coming from me. This is also based on other journalists' opinions that I had a chance to talk to, and I don't think ESC. I would be incredibly surprised if ESC is able to make franchising. But again, and then you have organizations like World Game Star, who, again, not a lot of people know of. And then there's that interesting organization called Gamer Republic Inc. I don't know if you know them,
Gamer
but you know,
Republic.
do you know who they are?
No, never heard of them. Who do they sponsor? Are they like
No. Okay, so what it is that Gamer Republic is a Kickstarter.
Okay.
So, and they're trying to raise around $10 million through Kickstarter, right? And actually, I just I just visited their page now, and
Oh, okay.
apparently they raised about $22,000 somehow. And what it is that it's about creating a professional League of Legends team that never existed before, where fans basically have control of the player management. Now, there are so many different problems with this, so I'm not gonna even dive into the layers of problems that this has. But when I just visited the page now, it says the funding has been suspended 12 days ago. So I don't exactly know what's going on. And then but yeah, in terms of going back to the topic, for CK teams, The only team that I can really think of is High Fresh Blade and maybe Element Mystic, depending on what kind of sponsors and what their plan is, basically. Let's see, and maybe maybe Oz Gaming, but I think Element Mystic would have a better chance than Oz Gaming, and I don't know Awesome Sphere too much, other than the fact that they have Zeus. So, yeah, I think High Fresh Blade has the best chance to make franchising out of all the CK teams. Runaway maybe too. I forgot Runaway as well, but
I think the problem with Runaway
Are we
is
excluding Janair?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Jin Air, I think,
uh,
has a better chance than High Fresh Blade. I would say.
I mean, okay, so
Like
because
listen, Jin Air are like notorious bottom feeders, but there are a lot of Jin Air fans out there, and it although Jin Air is like a budget airline, their parent company Korea Air, that's a big company. That's a lot of money.
I didn't know that their parent company was Korean Air.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Korean Air.
Korea Air, and Korea Air, I'm pretty sure is one of their sponsors. Like they're
No,
listed as a
Korea
sponsor.
are they?
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah,
no,
they
maybe
are.
they're partnering up with Korea Air.
yeah,
Okay, so
Korean
if
Air.
that's the
Yeah.
case,
No,
yeah,
because the
I'm
reason
more
why is because
convinced that
yeah, Korean Air
I'm
owns
more
Jin Air is the thing.
I'm more convinced that okay, so Jin Air is gonna make franchising
Yeah.
because again, I didn't know that Korean Air was involved in
Oh,
LCK
okay.
franchising as well.
No, yeah, Korean Air, Jin Air is it's like there's no comparison for America. I can't think of a comparison because I think it's like oh no, I think Frontier is owned by a different airline technically, but it's like Korea Air is like the main airline, but then like Jin Air is like the budget airline of the main airline. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Okay.
Um,
So I wrote
that's what I've been told at least. I might be wrong. That's just what I've been told.
okay. So I wrote a piece about how we did like invented an interview with what's his name, Lee Jung Hoon of Ride Korea, who's basically in charge of like making the LCK franchising happen and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't reveal too much information to the public about how, okay, first of all, how many teams are going to be in the LCK? Is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 12? Is it going to be more? Probably not less, but somewhere between maybe 10 or more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no one knows how many teams there's going to be, and um, a lot of organizations sent in their application as a consortium.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if for those that don't know what a consortium is that basically they just partner, two organizations partner up and submit their forms of application forms, right? And what this is that LCK teams, no two LCK teams or no two CK teams can form a consortium, but an LCK team and a CK team can form a consortium to apply for franchising. So, for example, T1 and Genji can't form a consortium to apply for franchising, and I don't know, Jin Air and Runaway can't form a consortium to apply for LCK franchising. But let's see, maybe Africa Freaks and I don't know, Awesome Spear can form a consortium to hand in or to apply for franchising, right?
Okay.
What this means is that Griffin did not apply
Okay.
for
Yeah.
franchising.
We did see that. Yeah, they weren't
So
on the final list.
yeah. So and no one knows if they actually formed a consortium or if they just kind of gave up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that unfolds because I think that players like Nahun, players like even Sword, you know, despite all the negativity and like all the, pardon my French, bullshit around him, um, you know, he still made it to Worlds. He still performed
Not a bad player.
he still performed in 3 LCK finals. Was it 3, 4? Or I can't even remember
3,
now.
I think. I think it
Yeah,
was 3
I'm pretty
consecutive
sure it's
LCK
3.
finals. Yeah, because
So
they
it's
faced
like,
KT once and then SKT twice.
yeah. So, you know, there are key players, not just on Griffin, but like just in CK as a whole. And I'm very and on in speaking of franchising, I'm very excited to see how the Academy League unfolds
Yeah,
because I know that like teams like T1, Genji, Sandbox, DRX, they all have Academy teams.
they're all really good too.
But
Really good academy teams.
yeah, all the players on there probably can take out the CK teams.
Yeah, Sandbox and Genji are some of my favorites. Genji is my favorite because they have Winter and they have Mu. So
Yeah,
that's and Genji Academy is just basically just the CK All Star team. They have a bunch of former CK players there.
yeah.
But yeah,
Who's the recent one? I can't remember his name on
Winter.
Genji.
What?
Yeah, Winter, and there was one more. I feel like I'm missing out on someone.
I'll have to look. They have Mu. I know they have Mu. I know they
Yeah,
have
Moo.
Mu. Yeah, they have Mu. They have Winter. They have what's his name? Their mid laner that's really good. I can't remember his name. Oh, I need help.
Karis?
Karis, yes, Karis.
Yeah.
Karis, real good.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
Karis, I think, is a
yeah.
former CK player too. I think he played for Winners, if I'm not mistaken. No, he didn't. Just kidding. No idea what I'm talking about. Ignore me.
So I don't know how things are gonna pan out. You know, I'm very excited for September to roll around because that's when all the announcements will be taking place.
Mhm.
Oh, Asper. They
And
also got Asper.
Esper,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Asper
So
from Spirit.
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm very excited to see all them.
Uh,
Uh, and when Academy League actually starts, who knows how that will pop off because we've seen, LCS Academy work. We've seen EU Masters be a great success, but of course they're in a different. It's in a different
yeah,
format, so right. It's kind of
um,
weird,
it's
but
yeah, it's a
anyways,
really weird format. But yeah,
we'll
challenger
see.
leagues have worked globally in the sense of franchising. So hopefully we see some great talent development there. LDL, another good example of a good challenger league. A lot of good talents come out of there. Slothy, would you also say? Well, I think I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, Jin Air. We all pretty much are in agreement that Jin Air probably has the best chance of CK teams to make franchising. iFresh played right behind them.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to franchising, it's more of a business standpoint thing rather than like a roster sort of thing,
Yeah,
because like that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that. So I really don't have much to say on that. I think that Genera has a really high chance to get in. To be honest, especially with the way that I guess they're kind of like bringing things about right now. They're being a little bit more active on social media, so hopefully that's another sign that they're really trying to push for this franchising thing. But yeah, again, don't really have much to add on that.
I would like to see Runaway have a thing with Hanwha Life. I'd like to see those two teams come together.
Are we gonna talk about collaborations now and just gonna
Yeah,
like
let's
bring
talk.
stuff
Let's
together?
talk about some collaborations. What are
Well,
some good collaborations that could happen?
no, I just want like I want the rules to be that the organizations have to combine names, like they can't keep the
Yeah,
same name anymore.
they had to combine names. So like you could have you just have Hanwha Runaway, which is kind of lame. But what else is
Yeah.
there that you like? What are some other? I have to look at a list of LCK teams and think about like what names would fit well together. Jeez.
T1 Blade.
T1
T1
play.
Blade. Yeah.
Uh, get get an awesome damn one.
Runaway Freaks.
Runaway Free. Actually maybe Runaway and Afrika would be a good. That would actually be
Yeah,
a pretty
because
good combo.
Runner streamed on Afrika. That's
Yeah,
like his
Runner
roots. You know what
Runner's
I'm
just
saying?
switched to Afrika. Yeah. KTOZ. That's there we go. KTOZ. Easy as that.
All right. All right. This one's a little
You know what?
little off,
Thought it one
little
chain, but
little
I
out
we
would
know
there.
that.
I
We're
would
gonna
like to
call
say
it
though,
Element X.
Element X.
Yeah, dude. DRX and Element Mystic. Element X.
That'd be pretty good. I was gonna say Element Mystic and KT would be pretty good.
KT Mystics.
KT Mystics,
KT
yeah.
Mystic, the KT.
That would be very like Korean.
Yeah.
KT Mystics, that's
Yeah.
the way to do it. But I don't want to talk about some questions that some people had for us. I have to go back and find them.
Right.
One of them had to do with Janair. I wanted to actually I'll find it. It's around here somewhere. Where the hell? There it is. Someone asked, do you think Janair? Well, we already answered this kind of. Do you think Janair can get back into LCK? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Basically,
Yeah,
my
we
short
just
answer.
gotta.
Yeah,
Yeah. That question.
Yep, cock.
Out of there. We're
Yep.
done.
yep.
Yep.
We killed it.
High Fresh Dynamics. Oh, that would be good. High Fresh Dynamics. Dem One Air. Sandbox Mystic. Some good stuff. But yeah, I just think like the Runaway. The reason why I say Runaway and Hanwha Life, I think the Runaway logo would look clean with Hanwha Life colors. Like if you change the color scheme to match Hanwha Life, I think that'd look pretty clean. We'd lose the pink team though. We wouldn't have a pink team anymore. That'd be kind of sad.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Runaway. So.
yeah. But there was one other question, but I don't remember what it is. So I think that's Hangzhou Spark are the new pink team. Oh gosh.
It was all-star teams.
Oh, All-Star teams, right. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about. All-Star teams. We gotta compare All-Star teams. So that's what we gotta end on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Slothy, why don't you let's talk about we're about to have problems. I just looked at your All-Star team. We're about to have problems, Slothy.
We're gonna have problems? Yeah, dude. Hell yeah, we are. Hell yeah, we're gonna have problems.
Why don't you tell everybody your sin of a All-Star team?
Oh, my sin. All right. To be honest, dude, I just picked something different because otherwise we would have had like pretty much the same teams.
Well, that's
across
not
the
bad
board.
if we have the same team across the board, because I mean that shows that they're good. But I don't.
Well, I mean, like I think that like some of it just comes down to roster right there, but like the ones that you're gonna have problems with me on, the ones that you're gonna have problems with me on, I think it's one more than other. I think it's the top lane that you have the problem with me on.
Yeah.
So
but to give context, I basically told Slothy and Quest to Sloth Hipster living up to his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told them to basically come up with their all-star team for CK. And we were gonna compare all-star teams. Quest and I, see, we're both men of culture. We both understand that Janair best air, and we both put Tana as our top laner. But Slothy had the fucking audacity, had the gall to put Lapis as the best top laner in CK. So why don't you go ahead, Slothy? Why don't you indulge us and tell us why you put Lapis as number one?
Because
When I put
Lapis plays Renekton, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because Lapis plays Renekton, he sins. No, so honestly, I think in every game that ESC has won, that he's been a crucial part of their victory, more so than other top laners in the league. So I was kind of going based on like how much of an impact they've had on their team rather than like how good they are comparatively to rest of the teams and rest of the people in the league. So for what he does on his team, he performs way better than a lot of the other top laners out there. I think picking a lot of Janair players, I already had 2 on my roster. I didn't want to throw 3 on there because that was just kind of like a throwaway rate right there. That's kind of like my rule when I create these sort of things, these all-star teams, is if you have more than 2 on one team, like it's kind of like unjust to rest of it out there.
But the thing
like,
is, if all the best players are on the team, then all the best players are on the team. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. But like this is just what I do because, again, like we can look at the roster, we can look at the standings and be like, oh, that's a 6-0 team right there, and like that's going to have the most of the like same players. But in terms of like what they kind of draft around and how they play, I think Tana was more of like a reason why they would lose games in their losses than Lapis ever was for ESC. But he's also more of a factor in their victories than Tana is in Janair's victories. So I guess by comparison, I had to put him above Tana.
Okay. Well.
You're trying to make this shit sound authentic, man. I don't.
Yeah, I think you're.
It's,
Listen.
It's a long con for Slothy here. That's just,
Tana,
it's my
Hey
opinion.
man,
Okay, I'm not
man.
discrediting you.
Slothy's selling snake oil over here with trying
Hey,
to pitch Lopus
you
as the
guys, so
best
you
talent
guys
player.
you're talking on me for hating Janair. Let me remind you who put Janair at the highest point in this. I don't think that anyone can say that that's it for me.
Listen. Oh, by the way, were you gonna go with Crush or Mugen for your jungler quest? Because I'm making a visual real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, get back to me in like 2 minutes. Let me just think about it a little bit
I'm
more.
gonna put that down for now. You have to sell Crush now. Sorry, I put down Crush. You have to sell Crush now.
Yeah,
Fuck
so
Now
you.
it's,
Crush,
now it's your turn to sell Snake. Well, it's not really Snake Oil because Crush has been playing really well. But anyways, I'll give my reason on why I put Tana. Well, one because I have eyes. I have eyes and I can see.
I
Uh,
have eyes.
Two, Tana has not had a single bad. In my opinion, he's had a couple of mediocre games, but has not had a single bad game. Is absolutely top kingdoming every lane unless it's a matchup where he's made to lose. And when it comes to like team fighting, there are so many times where Tana is just coming in clutch with the team fights, and it's the unspoken hero, and he gets a lot of attention diverted away from him because Yaharong is just absolutely carrying Janair. But there are a lot of times where Tana's come in and been the absolute like superhero for Janair, and you don't. Lapis has had a lot of moments like that. I feel like between all the top laners, those two, Tana and Lapis, are the ones that do the most for their teams. There was that one game where they were trying to. It was the backdoor that I hated, and I can't remember which team it was. I think it was Runaway. No, no, no. It might have been. I think it was Elma Mystic. It was Elma Mystic that were like doing Elder, but also trying to split push at the same time, and it didn't work. And ESC ended up getting Elder, and then Lapis was able to hold them off from their base long enough, and then he was able to finish them off with Elder, and then they ended the game. But anyway, the point is, Lapis comes in clutch with this team sometimes, sure, and Tana does the same thing. But in lane, Tana is just phenomenally so much better than Lapis, and that's why I put him above Lapis. Is because when it comes to their purpose for the team, they function the same way, and they both excel at the same level. But in lane, which is kind of like their side function, Tana is just phenomenally better than Lapis.
Yeah. So if I'm to explain who I chose Tana, Crush, Nahun, Pilot, Zeus. Nahun, I think people can discredit him for being in the worst team in CK right now. I mean, judging from the standings and the record, the win-loss record, right? But I think that without Nahun, kind of like how Lapis serves, like the role that Lapis serves. I think that a lot of the games that they won was centered around Griffin and Nahan. I mean, yeah, there's a whole meme about him going like 0-18 in Europe and all that, but you know, he performed when it mattered, when it was on Dragon X, and I feel like when he was on Griffin, like when Griffin was in the LCK, he was benched for most of the games, you know. So he didn't get a chance to play a lot. And I think that Nahan, because he's finally being allowed to play, he's letting it loose basically. And in terms of Crush, well, Zeus, I picked Zeus not because of my favoritism, you know, not because he's my son, but but Zeus, I think that he has very high points, and he has when he underperforms, he's just like any other support. And like I said before, Zeus was part of a bot lane that I consider to be one of the best in CK, alongside of course Win. But anyways, Zeus right now he's doing well in solo queue as well. He's turned things around. His play on Thresh was just phenomenal. And a lot of who is that?
It's my mother.
Oh, okay. And anyways, so for supports, when they're paired with junglers, that's when like sorry, let me rephrase that. junglers and support players are what dictates a lot of map control, right? And I think that Crush and Zeus did a really good job in turning things around for the team. That's why I put them there. And Pilot has just been very steady, very consistent, and throughout throughout his whole career.
Yeah.
And like even when he was on Europe, he was consistent, right? And I think that compared to players like Prince, Chark, Envy, Benny, Wayne, Okid, and Light and Hannah, I think Pilot is just it's an obvious choice there.
Yeah. I do want to point out that Slothy is once again selling snake oil over here with Prince listed as the best ADC. Just straight selling snake oil over here, man. Now listen, I'll give you another I'll give you another opportunity to defend yourself on that one, but I wanted to talk about my own roster first. I
Yeah,
put Tom in the
go for
top
it.
lane. I already told you guys why. Muchin. I put in the jungle not because he picked Nunu, although that is one of the reasons. The reason why he put Nunu is because if you look at all of Runaway's games and all of their wins, almost always Muchin has a part to do with that win. Slothy pointed out earlier in the podcast. Sure, he doesn't really play the CC junglers, but when he doesn't play the CC junglers, he's dishing out a lot of damage. And when he is playing the CC junglers, like the very great Nunu, he is just having fantastic games. He has the highest kill participation out of any jungler in CK at the moment. Well, I should say out of all the good junglers in CK. There are some junglers in CK that have high kill participation. I think there's one. I don't remember who it is. I'd have to look specifically. But I looked at that and I was like, it doesn't matter. He's terrible anyway. But anyways, so basically, very involved with this team, doing really well. Um, now, when it comes to mid lane, I put Yaharong because I'm show visual again. Okay, there's the visual again. I put Yaharong because just I mean it's easy. I do respect Quest for picking Nahun. I think Nahun does deserve the respect that he's given him. He's doing the best he can with that roster, and he's still looking like one of the top two mid laners doing it. But the key point there is top two, and I don't think he's the best mid compared to Yaharong. But a big part of that is because Yaharong has a great team around him. So I guess one could argue that Nahun could be better than him. And I think that if you switch Yaharong and Nahun, I think the results stay the exact same. So, but
If
anyway,
not better.
say again.
If not better.
Yeah, if not better
Mhm.
for Janair. Now with the ADC pilot again, just piggybacking off of what Quest said, just hard smurfing and CK right now, like actually just doesn't deserve to be here. I'm very curious as to why an LCK team didn't try buying him out, or why like a Western team didn't try buying him out. And then Senon for support. I picked him not to discredit Light or Rumor, but I don't think either of them are top three ADCs in CK. But Senon makes them look like the best ADCs in CK because of how good he is. Uh, and yeah, that's about it. Now I want to hear Slothy try to justify that Prince pick.
Oh, Prince.
Yeah,
Oh, why is
let's
he on
hear
my
that.
All Star team? Why
No,
is he on my All Star team?
we know
So again,
Lapis. We've talked about Mujin Yaharong, Sinon, but let's
yeah,
talk about
Fanon.
Prince. Why'd you put him there?
Prince. Well, I'm just gonna say, after watching a couple of those Callista games, I'm convinced that he has a lot of potential. I think he can show us for the rest of the season. He can show up that he is going to take over the rest of this league. We watched those that he was, yeah, they did try to like catch him out, and he was able to kite back in multiple scenarios where he kind of positioned himself in a place where he can safely get the double kills and he can turn the fight around when it looks like a good fight for the other team. So I think that has also been one of the biggest turnarounds with Austin Spear Gaming. Yeah, he does have a good partner of Zeus in the bot lane, but they also have that built up synergy that they've had for the past couple splits because he's been playing with Zeus for a while. So I think that he has the potential to kind of carry these carry these games to a new standpoint. Whereas I don't really see other ADCs being able to do it as much or being able to do that with the same opportunities that he has had in these games. So I think he has a lot of potential in this. So that's kind of why I picked Prince in this scenario right here. Pilot, yeah, he's been doing okay, but he's also been again some of the reasons why they've lost these games in OZ. He's been in the position to carry, and he's just failed on them a couple of the times. So I couldn't throw him in there realistically. Other ADCs that do come to mind would be Light, but I don't think that he's necessarily better than Pilot in their regards either. I think that the that Jin is a team that plays around their solo lanes a lot more, as we've been talking pretty much throughout this entire cast. So I think that that's my case for that one. But yeah, I don't really see another ADC that kind of like can do the same things that I've witnessed Prince been doing recently in the league.
I've been shaking my head.
You've been
I still have I
Listen,
still have my
you're bringing
doubts.
blasphemous.
yeah.
Just you're bringing up good points, but just blasphemous. I
Yeah,
can't
I
I
mean,
can't I can't imagine.
it is blasphemy. Yeah, get it. Like this is blasphemy. Yeah, yeah, of
Whatever
course, it is blasphemy.
you
But I
hipster.
think this is
Yeah.
this is points to consider. Like as much as we like rag on like players and we talk about their faults and that sort of thing, I think that in
I
terms of
I
players that can tighten the screws down, I think if you give Awesome Sphere, like we said, coaching staff's the biggest problem. If we give them the coaching staff, I think Prince becomes easily top
listen,
ADC in the
listen,
league.
listen, 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 listen. I'm not discrediting Prince. I'm not saying he's bad. I agree with you. I think he has a ton of potential. I think that
Yeah,
he in the future could be, the next Dexter ruler that we talk about in the LCK. It's one of the players that dominates the ADC position. Uh,
yeah.
but I
Mm.
just do not see any world where if I were building a roster, I would look at I would look at Prince and I'd look
Mm.
at Pilot and be like, yeah, I think I'm gonna take Prince. It's like Coke and Pepsi. Okay, no, that's not fair. Some people, it's like
Yeah, that's
Coke
not
and
a good
it's
pick.
like Coke and Royal Cola.
No, 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 no,
Who
no,
would
no,
pick
no, no,
Royal
no. Hey,
Cola?
hey, hey.
Who would pick RC Cola over Coca Cola? Who?
No,
Name
no.
me one person.
It's like you saying Fate is a good mid laner.
I don't say. Okay, listen. Fate is a good mid laner. First of all, I can say that now. But I wasn't saying in the past. I wasn't saying Fate was a good mid laner. I was saying he wasn't as bad as Rem was. Okay. But listen, Quest. You can't change my
Hmm.
mind. I wouldn't say in the past, but now, listen. Fate
Hmm.
built tier of disrespect. So I'm putting him in top five, top six LCK at worst. At worst.
God damn it.
But that's a
God damn it,
conversation
dude.
for another time. Speaking of time, we're actually all out of time. That's gonna be it from us. Thanks so much for
For
joining us,
tonight.
Quest. Yeah, for tonight. In the
Yeah.
future, come back, Quest. It's nice having you on. Oh, right. Someone
Yeah.
asked that one. That's the other question. Someone. What do I know he's your boy, Quest. Our boy Deus finally making his debut in LCS and having a fantastic game. What do you think about
Uh,
that?
I watched some highlights. I was very surprised in how
That
CLG
echo,
won
yeah.
their game.
That echo.
And yeah, I'm just saying that like Jizuki must be trolling. I mean, like Jizuki check your PayPal kind of, you know,
Dude, literally with that
goes
roster,
both
like
ways.
have Deus top and like have Wind ADC pair him with like I think if you paired him with Nova, I think that's best ball lane LCS.
I well for Deus, mm, for Alexi, I always knew that Alexi is a really good player just because of how much time he's put into this game, and like I know his work ethic. Like he can just sit in the PC bong for like 12, 14 hours a day just playing solo queue,
Hmm.
and he wouldn't even feel tired,
Yeah,
which
he's a
is the most
grinder. He's a
incredible thing.
grinder
And
for sure.
yeah, he's the most incredible. Like it's the most incredible thing to watch as you know, as someone practice that much, because I've seen a lot of boot campers come to Korea to practice, and play from a PC bang or from their own home, right? But no one does it more. No one grinds as much as Deus, and I'm very glad to see that he's finally given the opportunity to kind of unleash or show the world what he's got on the CLG roster. That being said, they still have a long way to go, but I feel like Deus for his debut match
Pretty
played
good.
okay. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, he won, so that's all that really matters. Um,
Yeah, like
I was really surprised to see the picks like Ribbon come in. I'm like, okay,
ruined
well,
the CK.
oh my god. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what is this?
I
Yeah.
agree with you in the sense. Yeah, he's been a really hard worker. Like anytime I log in on my main account, I just look over
Hmm.
the friends list and there's Deus in solo queue. Always, he's always playing solo queue, always practicing. So yeah, glad to see him get rewarded finally for all that hard work. Look,
Wait, Takeoff. You have what's it called? You have the nickname Homolander Malice, right?
yeah, that's my account, Homolander
That's you,
Malice.
right?
Yeah.
Fuck sakes. People are like, no, that's Seb. Even Alexi's like, yo, no, that's Seb. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's fucking
It's me.
my boy Dan.
No,
over
that's just me play like that's just me smurfing low levels. Homolander the
here.
Malice.
Yeah, he was on. Yeah, I was in a stream today, and oh,
You
just look at the match history, and there's a fucking predator. Oh my.
You see the Predator con? Yep, that's Takeoff.
Yeah.
Yep, that's Takeoff.
Yep, cock. Well, anyways, yeah. Going back to the question, I think he did pretty well. Obviously, it would take some time to kind of like break himself in. You know what I mean? He's like, he's like a packet of tea that's still waiting to be stirred.
Actually, look, what was the last
Um,
time? I need to play on that account. When was the last time I played on that account?
no idea. But anyways, yeah, that's my take on it.
What's your take, Slothy? You got anything you want to input on that?
Not really, man. That's not my cup of tea. My cup of tea is telling you guys, selling you
But
guys snake oil. That's kind of my cup of tea right
Throwing a
now.
snake.
So
Oh wait, Homolander Malice is the account that I played the W Max Lee Sin on.
oh Jesus Lord.
did you build
Uh,
Ardent Sensor?
no, I didn't. I'm going to though next time. Next
You
time.
fucked it up then. You fucked it up.
All right.
I don't know.
But yeah, that is it from us. Thanks so much for coming by, Quest. So play some games
Yeah, man.
now. I might play some League of Legends. My wrist has been feeling a little better. I haven't been playing that much recently. My wrist is feeling better. I'll see how I feel.
Do you have an account in? Do you have a Korean account?
I do. Yes, I do.
You can play some TFT, maybe.
Yeah, you down to play some TFT, Quest?
I'm
You down,
done.
Sloppy? You down to play some TFT there, partner?
No, he's
I
a
mean,
pleb.
what? Okay,
Nah.
hold up.
When it
Whoa.
comes to TFT, when it comes to TFT.
No,
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 he
no,
played
no, no, no. Hold up,
he
hold up,
played with
hold up,
Malice
hold
and
up, hold
I
up,
a while
hold
back.
up. Let me see. Let me see. What are you in TFT? Oh, you're plat. Okay,
Yeah,
you hit plat,
plat.
by the
Oh
way.
shit, we
I
can't
hit
play then.
gold. I hit
I'm
gold in less
screwed.
games than you did for it.
I
So
have different accounts, so
yeah.
All right. But anyways,
Yeah.
thanks for coming by, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for coming by, Quest. As
of
always,
course,
thanks for
man.
having you. Thanks for coming
Yeah,
by, Slothy.
yeah,
Uh,
dude. Thanks for having me.
Next time, hopefully, we're talking about how we're talking. Hopefully, we're talking about roster changes for round robin. Hopefully, we talk about that. Hopefully, actual changes are made, but we'll see. Anyways, thanks for everybody for watching. Y'all have a great day. Bye bye.
Yep.
Show doggo. Okay, I'll show
Yo,
Disco mode.
dog.
Lily.
Yo, the dog listens. Oh my god.
Oh, now there's another here. Let me show the two dogs. Here, there's two. I don't know. Let me show them. They're right there.
Oh my god, they're adorable.
That's Lilu. We're watching her. Uh,
Are they
her.
both golden retrievers?
No, Lily is the one that walked over at first. She's a husky shepherd mix. Lilu is a golden retriever.
Yo.
Her mother. We were watching her while her mother went to Florida and then New Orleans, and surprise, surprise, got coronavirus.
Oh
So
no.
we're watching her. But it's not bad though. She's fine. She's at home. She has really good insurance, so she's all set. But still, it's like, come on, man, come on, man. Now we have to watch her until she's symptom and corona free. But yeah. Anyways, see you later. Bye bye.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.